Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to talk about one of the biggest, most fundamental shifts happening in AI. You hear all the time about these incredible AI models, right? But how do they actually get built? How are they managed? Well, there's a whole system for that, kind of like a factory for AI. It's called MLOps. And that factory, it's being totally redesigned for a new, more creative kind of AI. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with what I'm calling the AI assembly line. Then we'll meet the two main characters here, the fortune teller and the artist. After that, we'll see why the old factory is being torn down for a new workshop, look at the new MLOps playbook, and wrap up with what it really means to master this new craft.
Okay, let's get into it. First things first, we need to understand the foundation for all of this. So, what in the world is MLOps?
So the easiest way to think about it is like this. Imagine you're building a car. You've got this amazing, brilliant design. That's your machine learning model. But you can't just hand someone a blueprint and expect a car to appear, right? You need the whole assembly line, the robots, the testing rigs, the quality control, all of it, to churn out thousands of cars that all work perfectly. That's MLOps. It is the factory floor for AI, turning a cool idea into a real, working product at scale.
And for a long time, this assembly line followed a very clear, very predictable path. You'd start by experimenting with an idea. Then you'd train your model, feeding it just tons and tons of data. Once it's ready, you deploy it, you push it out into the real world, it starts making its predictions, and then of course you have to monitor it constantly to make sure it doesn't go off the rails. It was a simple, standardized recipe for making AI work reliably.
Okay, so here's the thing. That factory we just talked about, it was built for a very, very specific kind of AI worker. And to really get why everything is changing, we have to meet the two main types of AI that exist today.
Right, so on one side you've got predictive AI. I like to call this one the fortune teller. It looks at all the data from the past, finds patterns, and makes a specific prediction about the future. But, and this is key, it doesn't invent anything. Then on the other side you have generative AI. This is the creative artist. It also learns from data, but instead of just predicting, it uses those patterns to create something totally new, something that didn't exist before. So, one finds, the other invents. That's the big difference.
And you see predictive AI everywhere. It's designed to answer these very specific, closed-ended questions. Will this stock go up? Is this email spam? Is that a picture of a cat? It's a numbers game, really. It's all about classification and forecasting based on what's already happened.
But generative AI? That's a whole different ballgame. It's not answering a yes or no question. It's a creator. It's an artist. You give it a prompt, a command like, write me a poem or generate a photo of an astronaut riding a horse on Mars, and it does it. It's actually producing original content. So, here's the big question. What happens when you take that super rigid, predictable factory assembly line, the one built perfectly for the fortune teller, and you try to use it to manage this wild, unpredictable, creative artist? What breaks? Well, you get a total mismatch. The process just has to change. Think about that quote. It's not about mass producing a million identical uniforms anymore. No. Now, it's like being a tailor, creating a single, custom-fitted suit. Every single piece is unique and requires that personal touch.
And that right there, that's the core issue. That old factory model was built for one thing, predictable efficiency. And that's exactly what makes it so wrong for generative AI, which is anything but predictable. The assembly line is out, it's time to build a workshop.
Okay, so if the factory is out and the workshop is in, how do we actually do that? What does the new playbook for MLOps look like? Let's get into the specifics.
Well, the whole process gets a complete makeover, and it starts right at step one, experimentation. The way we even begin a project is totally different.
See, in the old factory world, you'd build your model from the ground up. It's like you're mining the ore and forging the steel to build your own engine. A ton of work. But in the new workshop, you don't do that. You go out and find the best, most powerful pre-trained foundation model you can. It's like picking a top-of-the-line, pre-built engine off the shelf. Your job isn't building anymore, it's choosing and then customizing.
All right, so if you're starting with a pre-built engine, that changes what kind of fuel you need, right? The same is true here.
The way we think about data, the fuel for AI, is also completely different. And this is a really huge shift in thinking. The old factory, it just ran on brute force. It needed a massive quantity of data. Just giant, cheap rolls of fabric to make thousands of identical uniforms. But the new workshop, it's all about curated quality. You're not looking for a mountain of data, you're looking for a small, perfect, high-quality data set. It's like finding that one-of-a-kind fabric for a custom suit. Quality absolutely trumps quantity now.
Okay, so we have a new process, new materials. That means we have a bunch of new parts and pieces we need to keep track of. In the MLOps world, these are called artifacts, and in our new workshop, there's a whole new set of them.
We have to manage totally new stuff now. Things like prompts, literally the instructions you write for the AI. Then there are embeddings. That's just the fancy word for how the AI turns words and ideas into numbers. We also have to track adaptive layers and tuning jobs, which are basically the tailor's notes, every little tweak and customization we make to that big foundation model. These are the new crown jewels we have to protect.
All right, this might be the biggest, most difficult change of all. How do you evaluate the final product? In a factory, it's easy, right? Is the part the right size? Yes or no. But how do you grade a piece of art? How do you decide if a poem is good when there's no single correct answer?
We have to completely throw out the old metrics. It's not just about accuracy anymore. Is it correct? We now have to measure things that are way more subjective. Things like fluency. Does this actually sound like a human wrote it? Factuality. Is the stuff it's making up actually true? And maybe most importantly for a business, brand reputation. Does this sound like us? Does it reflect our values? We've gone from a simple math test to a full-blown art critique. Okay, there's one last really crucial piece of the puzzle here. A general-purpose artist is cool, but if you're a business, you don't just need any artist. You need one that knows your business inside and out. And the way we do that is a really subtle but super powerful shift. The old way was to train a model on your data. You'd basically force-feed it a static snapshot of your company and hope it memorized everything. The new way is to ground the model with your data. You give it a live, real-time access pass to your company's knowledge using something called vector search. It's the difference between trying to remember something you learned in a class last year versus having the entire internet open and ready while you take the test. It's a game changer.
So, we've walked through this whole transformation, from a rigid factory to a creative workshop. What's the big takeaway? What does it really mean to master this new craft?
Look, the most important thing to get here is that this isn't really a technical challenge. It's not just about learning a new piece of software. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. We have to stop thinking like factory foremen, obsessed with checklists and predictable outputs. We have to become more like creative directors, people who guide, who inspire, and who have the taste to judge the quality of the art being created. Which really leaves us with the central question for this whole new era of AI.